Whatever you think about most, whatever you surround yourself with, whatever you listen to, whatever you enjoy, you will become as a singer and as a person. Through repetition, you start to gravitate to that which is your deepest interest. Now, style is literally the particular way a person acts, his personality, and his mannerisms. It takes years to cultivate, but it's not something that most people are aware of on a daily basis. Well, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I'm here to tell you folks that is absolutely untrue. You can retrain your mind to be, in some cases, more proficient in a new habit than in an old one. Now, I've sung in nearly every style: country, musical theater, rock and roll, and if you can believe it or not, even opera. And after years of experimenting with different styles, I've also found that I have a great ability to sing R&B as well. Now, I picked up nuances of every style on the way, and I've learned that every artist uses most of the same tricks, but they do it with their own personalities, okay? So I'm a good case in point regarding teaching an old dog new tricks. Now, I began studying with Brett about 3 years ago, and let me tell you folks, I had some bad vocal habits. They were really stifling my full potential. Now, I was able to change technically, reversing bad habits, whereas style, you don't have to reverse anything in most cases. You simply add new dimensions to who you already are. Several years ago, I was in Nashville, Tennessee. I was there for a couple of years doing some recording, and I had the privilege of meeting Grammy Award-winning recording artist James Ingram. He had a very powerful influence on my life. First as a person, second as a musician. And he told me, Dave, maybe you should try to do some R&B stuff. At the time, he thought my voice was more suitable for that. So we sang together. We wrote some songs together, and we just kind of hung out. When I came back from Nashville, I literally plunged myself in R&B, soul, and gospel. Although I acknowledged that I've been blessed, and I have, I believe that anyone can make significant progress with dynamics, licks, and most importantly, original style. Now, every artist has his or her influences, but those artists realize that they are not going to sound like their favorite artist, because the great artists aren't just copycats. Take, for example, the artist formerly known as Prince. Whatever you might think of him, he is completely original. What he did is take different influences and say, hey, I really like the way he or she puts that into falsetto. I like the way they use a strong, powerful chest voice. Or, hey, I just like the groove. I like their emotion. And then he took that, but he also made a realization. I cannot sound like that person. And he accepted that and learned from it. That is the way we all should approach singing. Some people are just stuck, and their ego will not allow them to be who they are. I've seen many people go out singing karaoke, and they try to sound exactly like the artist. And some of them, well, they sing real great, but they have a hole in their heart because they haven't been fulfilled in their own artistry. The worst compliment you can ever get, ever, when you get done singing is, wow, you sound just like that artist. What that person has just said to you is, hey, I just want you to know you don't have an identity at all. You're lost in the musical world, my friend. You're totally lost. That's what they're telling you with a big old smile on their face. Hey, let's celebrate your total inability to be your own person. That's exactly what they're telling you. When I first started singing, I was told the same thing, believe it or not. Hey man, you know, you sing just like that guy with the long hair.
Kind of has a raspy voice. Yeah, yeah, sounds just like him.
At first, I was absorbing all this attention. I was like, oh man. But after you get done with all this adulation, you're wondering because you walk out with nothing. You go out to your average car and you feel like, well, if I sound just like him, why aren't I making his money? Why am I not famous? Well, it's 'cause they got there first and they're doing it. You're not. They're doing it because they went in there and said, hey, guess what? It's Michael Bolton time, baby, or Mariah Carey time. Sometimes a singer loses their identity, and then they get frustrated and say, I gotta sound just like that person. I gotta. About 3 years later, I quit. They quit. And you know what's sad? Because there's a lot of people out there with wonderful talents. They quit because they feel like the key to success and the measure of their own personal success and vocal ability is making millions of dollars and selling records. And it's a sad thing because people get caught up in the industry and they don't realize that music isn't necessarily about making money or about just making yourself feel good. Although that does happen when you sing selflessly. Let's not forget that the music industry is a marketing industry that markets human beings. And sometimes the marketers don't realize that these human beings actually have emotions. They have feelings, dreams, goals, and wonderful aspirations. A lot of singers have what it takes vocally to make it. Believe it or not, I've met women who are just as good as Mariah Carey. And you know what? It's nothing to them. But they will probably never get their shot. Why? Well, maybe they don't fit the costume. Or they're not in the right place at the right time. Or they just don't have the desire. Aside from marketing and career potentials that some of you have already achieved at some level or will achieve, I believe that you can find yourself as your own artist, as long as you absorb these principles that Seth Riggs has bestowed on Brett for this next generation, and the principles of style that we have to share with you. The principles of style that I have spent my whole life entrenched in, literally devoting thousands of hours of listening and thousands of hours recording in almost every single style. But I enjoyed the learning process. And whenever you intensely enjoy what you are doing, learning becomes something you want to do, not something you have to do, something deserved instead of something needed. As long as you are willing to know your limitations and not be afraid to make concessions, then you will always have a fulfilling and pleasing performance. Choose musical literature that best suits your needs for your present skill level. If you do what's right and sing for the song, and not just show off all the wonderful things you've learned, but truly add just the right amount of style to do what's best for the song, then you won't get lost in adding unnecessary licks, embellishments, or simply over-singing the song. And you'll know that you sang that song with integrity. Do what's best for the song, folks. Remember, it's not just knowledge that's power, but applied knowledge.